My name is Georgia Purdom, and I am from the Cincinnati, Ohio area. I work as a research scientist, a speaker, and a writer for a nonprofit organization in northern Kentucky. Being in noisy environments like a restaurant or like a sporting event or something like that, it was just very frustrating because I knew I just was going to be in my own little world because I could not carry on conversations with people. A lot of times I just would sit there quietly and laugh when other people laughed and just kind of, act like I was part of it, but knowing that I really wasn't. My husband and I adopted our daughter Elizabeth from China, and I can remember, even with the monitor turned all the way up, it was very difficult for me to hear her cry. And obviously that's a huge safety concern for any mother. When it came to those, personal relationships, whether it was my daughter or my husband or whatever, people eventually just give up. And that became very, very frustrating for me because I wanted to hear, I wanted to communicate. Those things were important to me, and yet I was missing out on them. I looked into the cochlear implant, but the problem for me was that my low frequency hearing was so good in my right ear that I did not qualify for a regular cochlear implant, which for me was very frustrating because the hearing aids weren't doing the job, but yet I didn't qualify for a cochlear implant, so I was really stuck. I felt like there just were no options for me and that I was just going to be hearing poorly for the rest of my life. I was ecstatic when I found out that there was a solution in the hybrid for people like me that were sort of stuck between the hearing aids and the cochlear implant. Well, activation day was definitely a day I will never forget. I remember sitting there in the chair with my audiologist, and she said she's gonna turn it on, and she turned it on, and I literally about jumped out of the chair. It was like, wow, I didn't even know how much sound I was missing out on until that happened. And so hearing things that most people take for granted, it was just amazing on that day. I often tell people when they ask me, well, what was it like? And I said, it's really hard for me to put into words because it changed my life so dramatically. And the best way I know to describe it is like I just started breathing. It's like I'd been holding my breath all of this time, just straining and trying to hear. And now it's like, whew, I can just let go, I can relax because I can hear these things. I don't have to work at it like I used to be able to hear. It was probably a few months after I got the hybrid. We were in a movie theater and my daughter leaned over to me and whispered to me, and I about cried. I mean, I literally sat there and just was about in tears because I could hear her whisper. I sometimes just stop and think how grateful I am for this technology and the ability to be able to hear like this. From my perspective, anyone that's like sitting on the fence and thinking, is this something I should do? I say go for it. I highly, highly, highly recommend it because like I said, it's just changed my life so dramatically.